Bonsoir, bonsoir à tous, bienvenue, c'est Alzi, bienvenue sur la chaîne, bienvenue dans l'émission Magicien de la communication. Et ce soir, grosse émission, on reçoit Anthony JACQUIN. Anthony JACQUIN avec qui j'ai commencé l'hypnose aussi. Et j'ai regardé des DVD des dizaines de fois. Je suis super excité de le recevoir. On s'est parlé un petit peu avant pour commencer à voir si tout fonctionnait bien. Du coup, on va l'accueillir tout de suite. Si vous le connaissez pas, il est hypnothérapeute. Il a fondé plein d'écoles et de différentes formes d'hypnose impromptues. Il a écrit Realities Plastic. Il a fait plein de vidéos sur YouTube. Donc, je vous laisse regarder tout ça. On va l'accueillir tout de suite. Hi.
Bonsoir. Hello.
Bonsoir.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you doing?
Zaba. Very well.
Ça va?
I've reached the extent of my French. But good evening to you, and thank you for the invitation
Thank
for
you.
everyone that's here live.
Yeah, thank you very much for everyone that is here. We will do this interview in English and just talk together, ask some questions to Anthony, how he sees hypnosis, how he's getting there. And I see we'll do it in three phases, like how you get there and how you see hypnosis. Then maybe what are you doing now and what do you see will be in the future and your inspirations as well. So let's start. Your good program. I think we have a lot to cover. So can you okay, so tell us more about your hypnosis.
About hypnosis generally, or
Well, how do you get started? Because I know your dad also does hypnosis. So
yes.
how did you get into hypnosis? At what age?
I think I was about 21. This was the mid-90s. My father had always been interested in sales and personal development and communication, essentially. Took some time out, learned hypnosis, got very excited about it, and immediately shared what he had. I remember him, after we'd done his first few sessions, one of the things he said was, I feel like I'm wearing an invisible cloak, like he had a special power because of what this tool set, was enabling him to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he suggested I get one. And actually, I was living in Paris at that time. And I came back and started studying more deeply, and then started doing some hypnotherapy sessions once I was trained.
All right. And so it feels like a superpower for you still?
Sorry, it's
Does it feel still like a superpower to you? Do you still feel like you have this invisible cloak?
Yeah, well, it's the closest thing. I mean, it's the closest thing to magic. It's the closest thing to the ultimate therapeutic. It is incredibly simple. It's easy to learn. The basics are most of what you need. Yet within days of playing around with this, you will be able to change your own experience and that of others. Mm-hmm. So it does still feel very special. I don't think it is a superpower. I think it's simply an overlooked aspect of communication. Mm-hmm. And perhaps people are a little bit too secure in their assumptions about their own personal reality. When you start playing with it, you see that it's very flexible. So the closest thing to real magic.
Realities Plastic. Can you tell us a little bit more about this concept, about your book that was a big hit when it appeared?
Yeah. And perhaps there is some ultimate reality. I'm not sure that we meet that or we're ever going to know that. But in terms of each of us, you might say we have a personal reality that most of the time feels solid and reliable and real.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's only ever a model. It can be changed when we experience a high level of emotion. It can be changed very rapidly, in fact, when we begin imagining things differently. So, yes, the title of my book, which I wrote way back in 2007, was Reality is Plastic. And I've really come to wholeheartedly believe that any of our patterns of behavior can be changed, however long you've had them. Never who you are. They are simply a learned pattern, a perception, and they can be shifted if we do the right work.
All right, I see. Can you tell us what kind of the most people you've treated, what kind of thing they come to you for? What is the main thing they?
Yeah, well, sure. I mean, hypnosis, is my life and full-time profession. Most of the time, if I am wearing my therapist hat and acting as an agent of change, I'm helping people change their personal reality so that they can have the life that they want. And I guess most of the time, that involves showing people how to rapidly overcome habits, overcome fears and compulsions. Sometimes the work goes a little deeper. Many people experience a sense of lack, perhaps a lack of self-esteem, a lack of self-belief, a lack of self-confidence. I show people how to overcome that sense of lack, agitation, or distance. Some people feel very isolated, and I will show them how to feel more at peace, be more connected, be happier. Ultimately, that's what people want. I also teach people, how to use these tools for themselves, not just to be hypnotists and therapists. I do that too. But, I teach people self-hypnosis skills so that they can make these changes themselves.
All right. So during what you were saying, there is Attractendo who was asking a question in French. He wanted to know, do you think there are some limits to what you can change, or it's only learned patterns? And do you think, he was saying more precisely, do you think the brain has limits over your body, has some limits over your body?
I'm sure there are limits. I mean, this doesn't make you bulletproof. However, I have seen several thousand clients. My father has seen 25,000 or more. And amongst those, we've seen people who have had long-standing addictions, habits, fears, panic attacks, chronic long-term pain, fibromyalgia, and some of the time at least, some of these people completely changed that and walked away from their habit, overcame chronic pain. It disappeared and it stayed gone. So those kind of things, I think, are, they look miraculous. It is seemingly miraculous, but it is obviously within our capacity as a human being to make those shifts. Mm-hmm. What I don't do is look at long-term problems as being deep-rooted, complicated, or a mystery that we need to solve. I really see this stuff just as a pattern or a program that the brain is continuing to produce. It's doing that for a reason. Some level, it perhaps believes it's for your benefit or for your protection, but that program is now essentially redundant. So I guess there are limits, of course, to the body, certainly. But in terms of our experience, our perception, I've seen things that really would seem quite impossible.
Well, hypnosis looks magical for some people as well. Do you understand this view? Can you share with us what's your view on hypnosis and how it works?
Yeah, well, it's actually very simple, and I think it can, of course, look magical, but often that is how it's presented, especially by performers. I perform with hypnosis myself, and you can make it kind of look like it's within your power. In fact, hypnosis is always a collaborative act of the imagination. It's a social construct. It's a social interaction. One person is the subject, and they respond to suggestions given by another person that we call the hypnotist. So this essentially starts as an imaginative experience that changes your personal reality. Now, part of the reason it can then look magical and it can kind of look beyond the subject's control is that perhaps the key thing that we can play with is your subjective sense of voluntary control. So we can imagine you could have an experience, you could lift your arm and you could sense that as something you're doing, that you're in control of, that is voluntary.
Yes.
Or you could engage with a hypnotist and find your arm lifting, feeling lighter, moving seemingly by itself. Your experience could be it's out of your control, that it's happening, that it is involuntary, or at least non-volitional. So it sounds like a bit of a paradox, but in fact, hypnosis is where we collaborate so that you can have a non-volitional experience. Now, any of the best experiences you're ever going to have in life are right on that boundary, where you're having the most fun and you're just singing, or you're just running, or you're just dancing, or whatever else it is. So hypnosis kind of takes you to the boundary where you begin to see your experiences just merging, it's happening, and that can be very liberating. And so it does look magical because the reason it looks magical is we are used to having a subjective sense of control. I would suggest that is something of an illusion, actually. That your behaviors are automatic, are going to happen, and it's just that you feel that you're choosing, that you are the actor who's making these decisions. I would suggest that's perhaps not the case, and that's why hypnosis seems so strange. It's not magic. It is the closest thing to it.
Do you think we've been taught to communicate wrong, actually, and that hypnosis is part of a good communication, efficient communication? Like you were talking about good communication skills and also hypnosis. You think it's related as well, and that we should learn hypnosis and how it works from the start?
Yes, absolutely. The way I look at it is this: you are already communicating with yourself, mostly automatically. That voice in your head,
Yes.
You're in a dialogue, and the way that you communicate with others, with children, with colleagues, with the fan of the opposite football team, it doesn't matter. We're already communicating, and we're already suggesting and influencing our own and other people's personal experience from moment to moment. So we don't necessarily need to call it hypnosis. could just think of this as, I don't even want to say advanced communication, but it's kind of being mindful of the part that we play in creating our own and others' reality. So personally, I think young children should learn to use self-hypnosis. There are many programs for mindfulness and meditation now in schools. In my opinion, it would be way more powerful to teach those young children how to better communicate with themselves. I think that teenagers, young people, 16 to 20 years old, whatever, should be shown how they can get rid of some of the emotional baggage that they have picked up, the traumatic experiences, the embarrassment, the shame, the things that we all kind of go through. You can learn to get rid of that and repair your self-esteem and your self-belief so that you're not carrying that into your adult life. And I think adults generally should, as I said, be more mindful of how they communicate. So if your business is communication, if you're in the business of sales or persuasion or marketing or teaching, then you should most definitely learn this. If you perform, if you play a sport, you act, if you are an artist, then you should most definitely pay attention to this. And if you're a carer, if you're a therapist, even a physical therapist who may not speak that much to their clients, then in my opinion, you're missing out if you don't see just how easy it is to weave these tools into your work. And finally, I'd say, if you're into personal development or just personal exploration, then you should most definitely be involved with hypnosis, because it's like a transparent set of tools that are like the perfect fit for whatever it is you're already interested in. So yes, I think people should learn more about this. It's just words, as my father says. It's just imagination. Anyone can use it.
Yeah, and I think that simplicity of words and imagination is sometimes something people find magical and don't understand. It took me quite a long time as well to make the connections and see how words are important and the way we say them and the way we act them as well. And it's very, very interesting. So what, at the moment, you are at home for lockdown, and can you tell us a little bit about your projects and what you're doing at the moment?
Yes. Well, fortunately, I was already providing hypnotherapy and training online. So I was already doing that via Skype and then Zoom, obviously. Yeah. Now, my father and I have moved all of our training courses into an online platform. So as well as having video courses on a membership basis, we also have live online training. Excuse me. That's kind of one piece and a major piece of what I'm doing right now. You can check that out. In fact, you can access that for 2 weeks for free. Excuse me, I should have some agua.
Yeah, so I will do the transition is the JACQUIN Hypnosis Academy. I just put the logo here, and yeah, you can go for 2 weeks.
So that is basically full access. You could learn everything you need to know to be hypnotizing, helping people. At that link, just binge watch for 2 weeks and you'll be good. The other link I provided, one of the techniques my father created, the arrow technique,
yes,
to help people get relief from chronic pain. has now become a tool that we use for all manner of different pains, whether it's physical or emotional or a mental block. And we partnered with a wonderful company called Neuromore. They basically use tech, biosensors, VR to create technology to improve the human experience for the good of humanity. So we've produced an app called the Painkiller app. It's essentially an audio app. It takes about 10 or 12 minutes to listen to. And we're collecting data from the experience people have. Also collaborating with another company to create some VR experiences. So with, hypnotic suggestion kind of plus VR, which is very interesting because obviously VR does much of the imagining for you.
Yeah, it does.
I really think that's kind of the next level in enabling more people to benefit from this, especially, people who are suffering in hospitals and that kind of thing.
All right. Okay. So some people ask some question about what do you think about if hypnosis can suppress the pain? What about the physiological problem which originally triggered this pain? Like, what? How do you
Sure, it's a very, very good question. So, if ever you're going to help someone, reduce or even eliminate their pain, the first distinction to make is between pain that is useful, you could call that acute pain, and pain that is no longer serving a purpose. And the vast majority of people who are experiencing chronic pain, their pain is no longer serving a purpose. It's useless and unnecessary pain. It's just their nervous system continues to produce this experience. The ultimate version of that, I guess, would be phantom limb pain. You've had your limb removed. It's not going to heal any more than it already has. It's healed. In fact, the wound is healed, but you're still experiencing pain in the missing limb. So that kind of illustrates an example of a useless pain. Much of the pain people experience with fibromyalgia is useless. So, of course, some pain is useful. It's a signal that something is wrong and you should go and get your tooth repaired, or you should, not pick up that heavy box because of the damage to your spine. That's useful pain. Our interest is in reducing chronic pain that's outlived function. And that is a very common experience for people. So we will ask people, if you were free of that pain, would that be detrimental to you in any way? Have you had it checked out by a doctor? Yes. And if that's the case, we go to work. Does it change anything physically? To answer that question, I have to make the concession that there is a difference in experience between physical and mental pain.
Yeah.
But I don't believe there is.
Okay.
Experience of pain, where are you experiencing that? Is perhaps a too deep a philosophical question, but one way or another, it points the way. This is why we can relieve pain, sometimes do it rapidly, even with an app, because we just need to change this line of communication within experience of having a body. So it's a very good question. If someone has had a migraine for 3 weeks or stomachache for 3 weeks, you shouldn't just take away their pain. They should see a doctor first and get it checked out.
No.
But if the pain is of no value, get rid of it.
All right. And so that's another good question. Somebody is asking, okay, we know the benefits on phobias and pain, but do we have some proof on human cells or maybe on um, like a curing disease or something like this? Do we have do we have some experiments on human cells like regenerating or something like that? We have like
No,
real proof
not
about
quite sure about
hypnosis?
regenerating. Well, the thing about hypnosis is there is a vast amount of good quality, peer-reviewed scientific research. There are several international journals that have been running for decades. The International Journal of Hypnotherapy is extremely well regarded amongst, the sciences. Around half of that research is about the nature of hypnosis, so experiments trying to figure out exactly what it's about, and the other half is about what we can do with it. So there is an evidence base, meaning, meaningful, high quality, peer-reviewed research for a number of issues. Not quite as many as a hypnotherapist will treat, but we know that hypnosis is the most effective method of reducing chronic long-term pain. Okay? We know that hypnosis has an excellent chance of completely eliminating irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. Studies show at least an 80% of people benefit significantly from that. So we know we can use it for pain. We know we can use it for IBS and a few other things too. There are also bits of research showing that with very simple interventions, we seem to be able to make changes to the number of T cells that the body is producing. We seem to be, measurable differences in the immune system. Doesn't necessarily mean that we can cure diseases. I'm certainly not claiming that. But we do seem to see that we're kind of operating the border of this imagined mind-body connection. Mm-hmm. We can, of course, reduce stress, reduce catastrophizing, and meaning making. Many of these things are what allow our problems to cling. So there's lots of good science. If you were to go on Google Scholar and type the word hypnosis, you will find thousands of bits of research. If you were to type the word hypnosis and disease, then you would find hundreds of papers that would show you, exactly what the state of play is. Even if we can't cure diseases, we can ease suffering. So whatever your condition and whatever treatment you're having, however invasive that treatment is, whether it's an operation or it's surgery or it's chemotherapy, your subjective experience is the important piece. How much suffering are you going through during those and after those procedures? And I know we can make that a much better experience. And that often, enables the person to engage with their treatment in a better manner, and have hope of a recovery, which many believe is a key ingredient of recovery.
Yeah, all right. Change the mindset, and you will change your body. Of course. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And there was somebody was asking. It was more like about hypnosis. Like, how do you have some advice for easing to enter into a sync relation with somebody, especially resisting people that say that hypnosis doesn't work with them?
So was that about how to work with people who are resistant?
Yeah, exactly. Would you have any advice for someone who is asking?
Yeah, I mean, hypnosis is a permission-based sport. So we do need that person to engage with us. And I would say that word engage is the key to this. So I try and, I do a lot of impromptu hypnosis in a bar, on the street, just for fun and to experiment. And obviously I meet some people who have a fear of it. Some people just don't believe in it. And some people who are just not interested, actually. They don't want to take part. But my job, or my approach really, is to make this about you. Let me show you something interesting about you. Let me show you something that you can try on other people later on. Let me show you how powerful your mind is. Let me show you what happens when you engage your imagination in this way. I want to show you something. So I take the emphasis off of me and me doing this to you, and I engage you and make it interesting for you. As you're going to learn something about yourself and your own abilities, something you can take away with you. And I find that gets past. To be honest, even the concept of resistance, I never think about that. No. Never think, if it's not working, I never think this person is resisting. I do think is they didn't understand what their role is. Right? So I try and make it clear. In fact, I'll say it. Hypnosis is a collaborative act of the imagination. So I'm going to ask you to imagine some things. However you imagine that is just fine. If I ask you to find a feeling, I want you to do your best to find that feeling. I guarantee this will be a good experience for you. So it's never perceived as a power struggle, as a battle, as a challenge. It's like walking up. It's kind of like, imagine walking up to someone with a big pile of shiny gifts, gift wrapped, shiny paper. That's how good this is. This could be one of the most profound experiences of their life. It may not be. Often enough, it is. It's one of the most profound experiences of their life. They're not going to have an experience like this again. Mm-hmm. So when I walk up to a group, that's the kind of mood I'm in. It's like I'm dishing out best presents ever. And if you don't want to take them, then that's fine. No. We won't play.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Thank you. What else? I wanted to come back on that painkiller app. So basically, you go onto your mobile, you download the app, and it's like audio for 11-12 minutes, and it's a painkiller, audio painkiller. So is it like a like binaural? What's it called? Binaural.
It's actually just an audio app.
Okay.
So if you are experiencing physical pain,
okay,
or you know somebody who is, all they have to do is follow the instructions and listen.
Okay.
Equally, if you have something which I would call an emotional pain, if you think about that thing and it still hurts, you still don't want to go there, then let's just call that your pain. Mm-hmm. Even if you had a creative block, let's call that your pain. Listen to the app, you score how bad your pain is at the beginning, you listen to the app and you score where it's gone at the end. And it's really that simple. Okay. We're trying to get 10,000 people to reduce their pain by the end of the year. We've already had thousands of people use it. It's very cool. And in the future, yes, we will, have other experiences that involve biosensors, wearable technology, and virtual reality. But for now, this is just nice and simple. It's just an audio.
So did you work on that sound? Like, can you tell us a bit more of how you made that content? Is it
For the painkiller,
yeah, like that sound
yeah.
wave?
Yeah, I mean it's literally just voice. I mean it's just a voice
Okay.
file. You're going to be guided through some instructions. But originally, what happened? The company Neuromore, who you can go and check out, neuromore.com, they created middleware, so some special software essentially that takes information from pretty much any biosensor. So that could be wearable EEG, like the Muse device. It could be, skin galvanizing response, a heart rate monitor, an Apple Watch. They take that technology, their software sits in the middle, and they would create VR experiences that kind of like a brain trainer or a state trainer, but it's using real time EEG readings or whatever else they were using to push the virtual reality experience forward. You're in a car, but the car will only move forward if you are calm or if you are focused. So it's kind of like the ultimate brain trainer. So I worked with them a few years back. We created something for a conference called the Bulletproof Biohacking Conference, which was completely wild.
Okay.
So we've stayed in touch, we're friends, and they want to do good things for humanity. That's their main goal. I mean, this was an opportunity. My dad helps a lot of people with his arrow technique, and the delivery of the arrow technique doesn't really change from person to person. And we were getting, again, miraculous results. I mean, some of these people had chronic pain from fibromyalgia for over 10 years. After 5 minutes, they couldn't feel it. So, and it's not even reliant upon hypnosis. It's not, you can literally just dive straight into the technique. So, it was an opportunity to try and scale what we could do with it. So it's a free to use app. There'll be other versions for different issues coming out next year. But for now, we're just trying to get as many people to use it. We've got veterans using it. We're speaking to a few doctors in the UK. We'll see.
That's very cool, very like new and a lot. It sounds a lot a bit like a neurofeedback as well with the music and the sound with the
Essentially, that's what it is. Yeah.
okay. And so that's very like new technology about like hypnosis, VR, lots of cool stuff. I like very very.
Yeah, it is. It is. And the other thing I think none of us should overlook is audio is very much back. I think we were also spoiled with video and 4K video, and we can all do video editing and all that stuff now. You may have thought, well, audio has kind of had its day, but in terms of really scaling this stuff, audio experiences are also going to play a massive part. Everyone has their headphones, everyone has their mobile phone and listening. So I still think there's lots of room for a cool innovation with purely audio experiences.
All right. So I'm putting, so it's neuromore.com/painkiller. Is that it? I'm gonna put it in the chat because somebody was asking if you were doing it, and yes, of course. So a lot already. Some people have downloaded it, and basically it's a guided audio for 10 minutes, so you can grade your pain before and after, and we'll see where it gets. I will try it. as well. So do you have muse as well? Do you do some meditation? What are your activities that your personal
Yeah, I do. So I have the second generation Muse. You know, I use that a fair bit. I'm studying breathing techniques, breath work. I've completely overlooked that, and I've had a few experiences in the last year and a half with breath work experts that
holotropic breathing?
work. Yeah, some of that stuff. I dug into the Wim Hof stuff, but actually now, rather than, I mean, the holotropic stuff is insane, and you're going to hallucinate and you can have breakthroughs and all of that. However, what I'm really interested in now is slightly lower key, more practical for encouraging change, memory reconsolidation,
Hmm.
and just general health and well-being. There's a gentleman in the UK called Ben Wolf.
Hmm.
I'm in the middle of his 16-hour program at the moment, and he did 700 hours of personal experimentation with EEG and breath work, and he's found a few secrets. So I play around with that a fair bit. Aside from that, my main passion is non-duality, this kind of dive into our experience of self. I think is ultimately, that's my main interest. That's the only thing that's kind of eclipsed hypnosis for me, is to try and answer the question, who am I? Am I aware? Where am I experiencing that? These three questions, they may seem either simple or super deep, but these three questions are the tools themselves. They're like cutting tools, and they will provide you with just some incredible experiences, but a real genuine lasting sense of happiness and feeling at peace with whatever your circumstances are providing. So I'm kind of into that. Yeah.
All right. Somebody's asking if we can decode how people feels from the EEG signals, or how strong they feel the pain or something like this. Can we read the EEG, or is it with the alpha, beta?
And with the EEG, well, I think it's more a case of, we would need to get to know that person's personal signature first.
Hmm.
EEG is only looking at the first couple of millimeters
Yeah.
of the brain, right?
Okay.
So it is useful data. There are certain things you can infer from it, but I wouldn't say it's quite at that stage where we can just read how they're feeling. However, we can aggregate that data and figure out markers for focus, calm, and various other states. So once you engage with that technology, then it's like, again, it's neurofeedback. It's going to begin to learn
Hmm.
what your signature is for complete calm. So it can then, your feedback can essentially turn that into something of a game, so that you can gravitate in that particular state. What the guy at Neuromore said to me when we first spoke about it was, imagine a Spotify for states.
Mm.
And that is what we're into.
Yeah, that's fascinating actually. Like Spotify for your brain, for your state, and just choose. Okay, I want to wake up happy tomorrow, and that's it. That's
Yeah, and I think that's where we're going. In terms of even though there's a little bit of pullback from social media right now because of the social dilemma, I think that ultimately we're just going to. At the moment, we may type, how we're feeling. I'm pretty certain that soon technology will know how we're feeling. Your phone can already tell how sober you are based on the way you walk. Yeah. I'm sure it could do the same with your voice. So I just think we're going to engage with more and more voice-activated wearable technology that integrates with clothing, glasses, phone, whatever. And these devices, if we allow them to, will encourage us in the right direction. Just like your Apple Watch is telling you to stand up. It tells you to take some deep breaths. It tells you to change your state so that you can change your mood. I think we're right at the beginning of that. And
we can't hear you. I thought the sound just muted. Je crois qu'il va pas revenir vu qu'il y a le petit problème du Discord. En tout cas, c'est dommage. Effectivement, j'allais lui demander pour ses inspirations et je lui avais posé la question. Après, je vais rechatter un petit peu avec lui. Mais c'est vrai que c'était passionnant tout ce qu'il nous a raconté et vraiment, vraiment dans le sujet et dans les nouvelles choses. Il me racontait que là, il profitait du confinement pour justement se concentrer sur lui, sur ses projets. Et voilà, il a plein de projets et en tout cas, sa vision de l'hypnose elle est toujours très pratique, axée sur le changement et l'efficacité aussi. Et je trouve qu'il nous a montré voilà, ça au travers de cette interview. Merci à tous d'avoir été là. Je vous souhaite une très bonne soirée. Demain à 20h, on fera un point sur toutes les émissions depuis cette semaine maintenant et ce qui va venir pour le reste du programme. Et puis vendredi à 21h, on fera un petit Among Us en VR, en réalité virtuelle. Donc, je sais que ça stream beaucoup sur Steam, le jeu en 2D, mais là on essaiera de le faire en réalité virtuelle. On verra ce que ça donne, le jeu de soft skills du moment. Voilà, allez ciao, bonne soirée, à plus.
Music.